instead of deploying directly from Visual Studio like I have been doing using this publish command, I also have the option of building a web deployment package. A web deployment package is a zip file that I can copy to different servers and then import an application and install an application anywhere. Inside of Visual Studio, there's several options that control the building of this web deployment package. So if I come into the properties for my web application, there will be a tab called Package Publish Web. It's inside of here where I can describe what I want to place in the package. For instance, just the files that are needed to run this application versus all files in the project or all files in the project folder. That would include source code too. And also where the package will be created. Notice that this one is going to be underneath my project directory. It's going to be in the obj debug package, and it's going to be called ode2food.zip. I can also set the default destination for when this application is installed. Where do I want it placed? I want it placed at the root of the default website. That's something that can be changed by an administrator when they import this package. And I can also deploy databases using this tool. So if I import connection strings from web.config, then what I can say is that for ode2food.db, what I want you to do is actually connect to this destination database. So that would be where I describe the name of the production server and the name of the production database and how to connect there. And then I can tell the package tool to go out and connect to this existing database and generate a script that will include all of the schema in that database and all of the data that's in that database, put it into a script, add it to the package so that when this is deployed, my database will automatically be populated with everything that my application needs to run. And this is something that I'm actually going to have to do when I go to a shared hosting provider, which we'll look at in just a little bit. But right now, though, I have a database that works. I just want to show you what using the package looks like. So let me go to the project menu and say Build Deployment Package. It's going to build the debug deployment package for me. And once that is finished, let me go out to the administrator prompt that I already have open, and let's switch over to the directory where that exists. It's going to be underneath ode2food obj debug package. It's inside of here where I will find the zip file and a command file that I can execute to install this. So if I just execute the command file without any parameters, it's going to pop up a notepad that basically tells me some instructions. That if I invoke that command and pass in /t, that's essentially doing a test. That's a what if. And one of the things you can do is run that command with a /t, and it can come back and tell you if there's any potential problems that you're going to run into. For instance, if ASP.NET 4.0 was not properly installed inside of IAS, it would come back and tell you that you have to run that ASP.NET_RegIAS tool to get ASP.NET installed. And if we pass in a /y, it's actually going to do the deployment. So let's try it once. I'm going to say ode2food.deploy.command /y. And this is going to execute the deployment package and install everything into the root of the website again. And I can take this folder, the contents of this folder, and basically copy it to any server now and walk up and install this web application easily. I'll also point out that many of the configurable settings in this deployment are put into an XML file called ode2food.setParameters. If we open that up, we can see where the parameter for the IAS web application name is. That's default website /. So an administrator could change those parameters. We could also give this package to an administrator who can use the IAS management tool to import this application, and that will open some dialogues where they can change parameters if they need to. I also want to point out that when you deploy using this package, all of the web.config transformations that you have put in place will be applied. So really there isn't a significant difference between doing a publish in Visual Studio and installing this package from the command line, except for the fact that using a web deployment package can be a little more flexible because you can move it around and copy it around and install it from the command line instead of always having Visual Studio around.